Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Hanging with Jay. I know. Oh, this looks weird. It's a weird day. This isn't the day that I upload normally. I didn't wait. Hold on. I didn't upload on Monday. I know. I didn't miss an upload. I have decided that I'm actually going to start uploading on Fridays instead of on Mondays. I know it's a big change. I did kind of make it last minute, and some of it was, I'm going to be completely transparent here. Some of it was because I did not have an opportunity to record at all last week. Not like work got crazy busy. It was not like it was a good week, but it was not like I got home, fell asleep, woke up, had to get ready for work, and basically go. So there's going to be some changes that happen in my life that we'll get into later, and I'm really excited to get into them because it's kind of a new chapter. It's not a new chapter, but it's like a new paragraph in the same chapter, I guess. And I'm really excited for it. Now, I will say in episode 8, I had talked about how this week, episode 9, we are going to talk about self-care. Like that's the biggest thing that we're going to talk about. But as I did it, y'all, I realized I know nothing about what real self-care was. So that's like a bigger topic anyway. So as I did that, and I was like, I'm not going to have time to record anything. I'm not going to have time to do the podcast like I want to, and up to the standard that I want it to have, that I want to have for these podcasts for Hang with Jay. I want to put out the best content I possibly can. So what I've decided to do, and what you're about to see, is going to be, this is a throwback episode. So this is 2018, 2019 that I had originally recorded this episode when I was doing Hang with Jay lives on Facebook Live. So this is from that. This is an entire time, and I will let you guys know right now, this one is going to be a bit more preachy. There's a lot about my faith in it. There's a lot more about the Bible in it, but I'm really excited to get into the topic. It's something that I think is very relevant, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. So here you go. Hey, everybody. Man, it's Hanging with Jay. How is everybody doing tonight? Woo, man, I'm excited for tonight. Man, I just got off no, I can't really say it's a long day of work. I'd say it's a medium day of work. It was a good day, though, for sure. Had some deliveries. I got to go out on the truck by myself, which is always a good time for me. I get to listen to some worship music, maybe a little country, because, I got to get that country listening in. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Man, so on just in general today. So this is in general today. I've been thinking about some stuff, and it's just exactly what it said. And the topic tonight is actually stuck. Because there's so many times that I think that we feel stuck in a situation that we're in, and I think that it's and I say this so often, it's almost kind of annoying when I watch back my videos about how I say, like, this is such an important thing, because apparently everything I say is important. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe not, but sometimes I think that it is, which I guess if I didn't think that it was, I wouldn't be talking about it in Hanging with Jay. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. I love you guys all. You're amazing. And tonight's topic is stuck. We're going to talk about being stuck and what it means to be stuck, and in a way that I feel we need to get out. Or maybe even, dare I say, embrace it. What? Did I just say that we should embrace being stuck? Hold on a second. Wait a minute here. Before you pull out your pitchforks, let me explain it. So I was thinking about this week, and the fact that Excuse me. I was thinking about it this week and about how I absolutely love my Jeep. I love going out in my Jeep and going and playing in the mud, so to say. And one of the things that I have not done, actually in a long, long time. Hey, what up, girl? One of the things that I've not done in a long time. Whoa, that fed back a little bit. Maybe I'll turn down the gain just a little bit here. There. So one of the things that I was thinking about was the fact that I haven't gone out in a while in my Jeep, but I love my Jeep and I love going out and just getting some mud on the tires. I love, and really pretty much the whole thing. I like just covering the Jeep in mud. But something that's really fun is actually going out to the trails, going out to the woods and just driving along the trail. And one of the things that I was thinking about was there are times when we get going, and because it's a it's a well-known path, it's a well-known trek, that there are ruts where the previous tires have gone, and we start getting into these ruts. And my Jeep isn't that high; I don't have a lift or anything on it, so I'll see that as I'm going. Oh man, I'm getting to a point like these ruts are getting deeper than what my tires can handle, than what my Jeep can handle. And when I do that, I try to correct out of it. I try to get out of it and ride kind of next to the rut. And I keep moving because I don't want to get stuck. I don't have a winch on my Jeep. I don't have a way to get it out, especially if I'm out there by myself. So what I'll do is I'll correct. And I'll go a bit to one side or the other side, and it has happened that sometimes you will overcorrect, and sometimes you will kind of go and you might even start to you'll start to slide, and you'll start to move, and you might not be able to stop the slide. You might not be able to stop it, and as you're going, there might be a tree, and bam, you run into it. And now you're stuck, and the dirt around it is soft, and everything, you can't get out of it. You can't go forward through it. You're stuck where you're at. So in so many times in my life, I know that there have been areas that I've been stuck in, and there's been an immovable object in front of me, and I keep trying to go through it. I keep trying to hit through it, and I keep trying to just move through it, and I can't. And I'm stuck there because I keep trying to push forward when what needs to happen, so I might need to go back. Might need to grab that stick, throw it in reverse, and back up. I need to back up and go the way that I just came from. Even though that seems counterproductive, it's even more counterproductive to try to move through the object that's been placed in front of me. So I have to take and I have to throw it in reverse, and I have to back up. And so many times in our lives, there's been an object put in our lives. There's been something that has been put in our way, and we can't seem to get through it. We can't. And, I think that there's so many times that media will tell us that we just need to keep pushing, and we need to keep pushing our way through it, and basically pull out a chainsaw and cut that tree down and go through it. But I think that it's so important to understand that there are times that we have to back up, and we have to look at things that have happened in our past. And yeah, I'm going there. We have to back up from the situation that we're stuck in. We have to, sometimes we might have to get out, and we might have to evaluate the situation. And for me, I know that this last year has been a period of me being stuck, of me being put in a place where I have been so aggravated and angry so often because I've been stuck, and I can't get through it. And I keep trying to push through this object that is in my way, because I've always been told, just keep pushing forward, keep moving forward. And yes, how true that is, how true it is that we have to keep pushing. But there are going to be times in your life, and this has been one of the hardest things for me in this last year, is I've had to back up, and I've had to look at things in my life, and I've had to look at some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I've said, the ways that I've acted, and I have to reevaluate those. So backing up, I'm then able to course correct and get around that object. The object that's placed in front of us is not always, it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. That object may be there. It was there before you came. It's going to be there after you leave. So instead of getting angry at this thing, getting angry at this object that you're so stuck on, understand that it's something. It's just something that's there. It's something for you to learn on. It's something for you to grow with. So I know the next time that I go down this trail, the next time I go through these things, that I may not need to correct, or maybe immediately, as soon as it happens, as soon as I hit this object, I know that the only thing to do is back up and go around. Now, there's been so many things in my life that I have been called to, and I know that I've been called to, and I felt stuck in a way that I never thought I'd be stuck in, and this, now we get into the preachy part, just so everybody knows. So if y'all ain't into the preaching, then I love you. I hope you stay. I hope you listen. But otherwise, thanks for hanging out. It made me think of the Apostle Paul. And it made me think of the Apostle Paul. This whole year has made me think about this. And today it just kind of came to a head thinking about these things. And I started thinking about when Paul was called to do something. He was called to grow the early church. And he was called to be someone that spread the gospel and spread who Jesus was and what he will do for others. He knew that he had to go to Rome. He knew that he had to get from where he was to where he was going, and that was Rome. So he knew once he got arrested and they were going to put him to death, he said, no, I'm a Roman citizen. I need to go in front of Caesar. And he knew that was, as soon as it happened, he knew that that's where he had to go. He had to move forward and he had to get there. Now, he might not have known all the different places and how true that is, because I know that when I was called personally, I was called to preach. I was called to spread the gospel. And I remember very specifically, it was from a very young age. I was always called, and I always loved to speak, and I always loved to get in front of people and speak. And it wasn't always necessarily speaking what God wanted, God's word and the things of the gospel and the good, spreading the good news. But I always knew that I wanted to do that. And as I grew and as I got older and when I came back to church about 11 years ago, it then became very apparent that that was my goal. That's what God wanted for me. Now, I remember when I first came back to Christ and when I first got saved and I understood who I was in Christ, I knew that I was supposed to be preaching. I knew that. And I thought at that time that I was basically immediately supposed to go from point A to point B, from the pew to the pulpit. And that is what I thought. And I pushed forward and I tried to do that. And I tried to do that. And I kept pushing and I kept pushing, but I kept hitting obstacles. And that obstacle, all of that stuff came to a head in this last year, where I was able to get up in front of people. I was doing things and I was saying things and I was spreading a message that I felt like I was supposed to be spreading. But then it stopped and I wasn't able to do it anymore. And I remember being so frustrated because hold on, I was called to preach. Why am I not preaching? Now, in Acts chapter 27, it's talking about how Paul had tried to say, hey, we need to stay back here. There's a storm coming and we need to hang out. We need to chill out, wait for the storm to pass, get up in this bay and just chill, hang out with the people, eat some food with them. I'll preach the gospel to them a little bit. It'll be good. But they didn't listen. So as they're going, this storm hits and they know that they have to beach the ship. They have to, because this is something that they did in big storms so that they wouldn't lose the ship. They would beach it, get it onto a beach, because they know that they can pull it off. They know that they can get it back out into the water, especially once the high tide comes in. They'll be able to get it out. So they get the ship stuck on purpose. They get it up onto the shore and they get it stuck. So as they're going in, they hit a shoal, but they hit it too far off the shore. So they become beached too early. They get stuck too early because they weren't listening to what Paul had said. So uh as they were going, the waves started hitting and the ship started breaking apart. And Paul told them that we got to abandon ship because we're stuck. This is the only way to get out of this. We're not, and we got to wait till the last minute until I say go, and then we need to go. So they abandon ship and they get to shore, and they're shipwrecked. This has got to be one of the scariest things, especially of that time, is being shipwrecked, because they didn't have a way to contact anyone. They didn't have a way to like, hey, I can't get on the radio and send out an SOS. So they go to shore and they're stuck. Paul's stuck. How's he going to get to where he knows God has got? God told him he's going to Rome. He's going to stand in front of Caesar and he's going to spread the word of God. He's going to spread the gospel and the good news of who Jesus Christ was. So how is this supposed to be a thing? So if I'm shipwrecked, how am I going to do what you told me to do? There's no chance of escape at this point. Like I can't swim to the next port. That's way too far. But little did he know that it's not or he probably did know, actually, reading the word, he probably did know this. But I know that for me, I didn't know because I wasn't trusting him. So it's not from point A to point B. Point A to point B to point C, and so on. As he gets ashore, the locals come out. People who don't really get a lot of news, they don't get a lot of visitors, those types of things, and they help them out. They help to feed them, they help to clothe, like they make sure they have clothes, they're warm, all those things. And as they're sitting around this fire, one of the deadliest snakes of that region comes out and it bites Paul. And they see it, and immediately they're like, "This man is dead." That's the most dangerous snake that's around. That's the most dangerous snake that we have in this area, and he just got bit by it. He's a dead man walking. Now, if Paul was anything like me, he would have laid down and given up. I'm done. I guess what I thought the call of God was not actually the call of my life. I guess I'm dying right here. But instead, Paul had so much faith. He had so much faith in what God could do and God would do, that he knew that God was going to work in the situation. And what did he do? He shook the snake off his hand. It doesn't go into it. It doesn't talk about how, it doesn't say anything about how he freaked out and was like, "Oh God, the snake is on me. Why? Why me? Oh, good Lord. Oh, okay, God is bigger." Boom. No, what the heck is this? Shake it off. Get it off my hand. Devil, you ain't getting me today. Not today, Satan. So he pressed forward, and because of his faith, he was able to speak to these locals. He was able to speak to these people and to speak Christ to them. He took something that for so many of us would have been the end of our story. We would have taken it like, this is a sign from God that I just need to lay down and die because there's nothing more that I can do. But he took the object that was in front of him. He took what this object was that could have stopped him, and by all rights should have stopped him. And he used it as an opportunity to reach people that probably wouldn't have been reached for years and years and years. And he was able to impact them heavily and mightily. So as they're going, as he goes, or as the story goes, they end up getting rescued, and he's able to get away from here and go to Rome, and I don't think he ever got to see Caesar. I guess I didn't read that far into my word. Anyway, so he moves on and he gets to where his destination is. Now, how many times in my life have I taken, and how many times in your life has an object come before you when you know you're supposed to do something? You know that you've been called to do something. And there's an object in your way, and there's a distraction, oh, shiny, that gets us off course. And because we're off course, we kind of just give up. Well, I guess I wasn't meant to do this. I guess I wasn't meant to move forward in this. I guess I wasn't actually supposed to do these things. Now, I know that for me, I really got to that point. I got to that point where I started even questioning my faith. This is me being fully transparent. I got to a point where I questioned my faith, and what God had called me to do was to preach his word. And because some things happened in my life, because I was distracted, because I got off course, because I wasn't looking at the plan that he had for my life, I stopped moving. Even though I kept trying to push as much as I could, and I tried to push through the obstacle that was in front of me, I didn't realize that this obstacle was an immovable force. That God didn't want me to go through it. He wanted me to back up and look at some of the things in my life and go around it and become stronger. It was point A to point B to point C and so on. If I would have gone from point A, from the pew to the pulpit, just a straight line there, then I wouldn't have been able to go on the journey that he had for me. I wouldn't have been able to walk the miles upon miles upon miles up onto the mountaintops and into the valleys and back out and become stronger. If I would have gone from the pew to the pulpit, one of the things that I learned on my journey that I wouldn't have learned if I would have gone from pew to pulpit, from A to B, it would have crushed me at the pulpit. It would have gotten me to a point where I would not have been able to handle it, and I probably would have walked away from the faith, fell away from the faith, and completely backslidden into who I was before, completely and utterly. Now, getting to go through those things, I hit some snags in between point B and C that I had to learn to get through. And I remember there were so many times that I would try to be transparent. Actually, I started out by not trying to be transparent with the leaders that were placed around me and that I was supposed to go to. I tried to not be transparent with them. I tried to not be transparent with those that were my accountability partners. And I got stuck on between point B and C, or whatever point it was in this journey of my story, of this story that God has set into place for me. And then I learned that I had to go to them. I learned that if I'm not transparent with the leadership around me who loves me, even though sometimes it feels like they don't, because correction doesn't always feel like love, even though it is. I remember I learned to overcome it because I started going to them and I started saying, this is too big for me. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't even know how to give this to God. So I was able to go to them and I learned that before I could become accountable and transparent with those that I loved and that loved me, that I had to be open and transparent and honest with God. But even before that, before I could be open and transparent with God, I had to be honest with myself. This is a problem. This is something that is not okay and is too big for me. So doing those things and taking those steps, I was able to become stronger and I was able to move forward the way that God wanted me to. And if I wouldn't have learned that lesson from B to C or whatever point it was, then when I got to point Y, to point W, whatever point it was, then it would have crushed me. And I would not have known how to do it. And I would have fallen from that point that I'd gotten so far with God that I would have fallen all the way back. And how dangerous is that? We know that we have a call. We know that we're supposed to do something. And it looks like it's as easy as point A to point B. For me, from pew to pulpit. I don't know what your story is. Some of you, that might not be what it is. Some of you, it might be going to school for something. You know that you're supposed to do something and you want to do something and you want to move forward with it because you know that that is something in your heart that you can do and that you will be good at. And you go to school and it doesn't work out the way that you want. One of the best examples that I have is nursing school for so many. You know that you're supposed to be a nurse. You know that you're supposed to get in there and you're supposed to care for people and you're supposed to help heal the sick. And you go back to school and you're doing all your prereqs and you're getting it done and you're like, yeah, it's only going to be a couple more years and I got my nursing degree. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do my thing. But then you go to apply for nursing programs and you can't get in. You get stuck. You apply and you apply and you apply and you can't get in. And you keep pushing, you keep being persistent. Now if you're smart about it, my guess is I'm not going to be a nurse. I'm not going back to school anytime soon that I know of. But if you're smart about it, you'll go to a counselor and you'll talk to them. Why am I stuck on this? Why am I not getting into any of these nursing programs? And they can open up they'll open up your records. And they'll say, okay, well, it looks like the program that you're really going for, the program that you want, they want these things, and you're missing one of the most important things to them. You've got to go back and get that done. So you go back and you get that done, and then lo and behold, wow, you're in a nursing program. Weird. You're not stuck anymore. You're moving forward. How amazing is that? How awesome is that when we know? And if we wouldn't have taken that journey and we wouldn't have done those things and it would have been an easy path for us, then maybe, just maybe, we'd fail as a nurse. Maybe if I would have gone from point A to point B, but no, not maybe. Absolutely. I know this for a certainty for myself. If I would have gone from pew to pulpit immediately, just like that, I've been able to stay there for years and years and years and years, then I would have been crushed. I would have failed miserably. Now I did fail. I did fail in the times that I was able to get behind the pulpit and I was able to preach God's word. I did. I was doing it, and because I thought that is exactly where I was supposed to be, and I think that at the times it might have been. But God wanted to grow me more than what I was ready to be grown at the time. So I failed miserably. But again, like I've said in so many other videos, failure is only bad if you refuse to learn from it. Failure is only bad if you don't learn from the mistakes that you made. If you're stuck for a reason, and it's time to maybe embrace that you're stuck. Maybe stop for a moment, rest. How big is rest right now? How big is rest in our community right now that we need to do? We keep trying to move and move and move and move. We live in such a fast-paced world right now. Everything has to be instant. We have to get through it. We have to get through these times. But instead, we need to take a moment and rest. Just take a few moments and say, okay, it's time to slow down. It's time to take a breath. And once you've taken that breath, maybe you can see what the object that's in front of you and be able to back up and move around it. Maybe that's what it's time for. So if you're among those of us who are stuck, know that you're not alone. Your situation might not be the same as my situation. My situation might be not be the same as somebody else's, but know that if you are stuck, you are not alone. And it's time to embrace being stuck for a moment. For a moment. Don't lay down and die. Don't lay down and die in being stuck. Take a moment and breathe. First, breathe. Back up. Look at some of the things that got you stuck in the first place. Be accountable. Admit to yourself that you're stuck. Admit to God that you're stuck. And then go to somebody who knows better than you. Maybe somebody who's been stuck themselves. Maybe somebody who maybe if you go to somebody and are accountable to them, maybe you'll learn how stuck they were, and they were in a worse spot than you were in almost the same type of situation. And if you do that, then you can get unstuck. Whatever your situation is. I've said a lot of things that were physical things, the things that I want to do, like I want to preach. I mentioned nursing. But maybe you're stuck in anxiety. Maybe you're stuck in a depression. Maybe you're stuck in a thought life, in an addiction. Maybe these are some of the things that you're stuck in, and you feel like you can't get out and you can't move past it because this object, this anxiety is too big for you. Know that I struggle with anxiety still. Know that I still struggle with depression as well. I have a big old smile on my face most of the time, but so much of the time I feel stuck in depression. Now, don't get me wrong. I know who I am. And I know who God is in my life. And I know that I will get past this and I will get through this. But it is because I've admitted to myself, I've admitted to God, and I've admitted to those that I can be accountable to. And they're moving with me. If I'm so stuck, they're gonna grab their winch. They're gonna grab their winch cable. They're gonna hook it up to my bumper, and they're gonna pull me out of it and help me get through. If you're stuck today, know that you will get out of it if you can do a couple of things. Breathe. Admit to yourself that you're stuck. Admit to God that you're stuck. Admit to those that you can be accountable with that you're stuck. And then take the appropriate steps to get out of it. Because just telling somebody that you're stuck, telling somebody, man, I'm feeling real bad about myself right now, that's not going to get you out of it. Because there's some steps that you have to take. There's some things that you might have to do to get yourself away from that object that's in front of you. I love you guys so much. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Whether you were hanging out with me during the live or if you watch this later, I love you so much. And don't forget that if you're feeling stuck today, you're not alone. If you're feeling stuck, you're not alone. You're going to get through this and it's going to be okay. You're amazing. You are one of a kind. Love you guys. You guys have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. Are you feeling stuck? Man, that message is as relevant today in 2024 as it was in 2019 when I recorded it. If you're feeling stuck, it's okay. You're not the only one that feels that way. Guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. You guys are fantastic. Don't forget that this life is a journey. So let's take those steps. Nobody's told you yet today, don't you dare forget. You are worth it. Thanks for hanging out. Can't wait to see you in episode 2.